Maryland is the most storied program in women's college lacrosse, and they're playing like it this season. The Terps are 15-1, including a 6-0 record in the Big Ten. It's time to go all in on Maryland women's lacrosse on this edition of the Left Bench in Focus. Hello and welcome back to the Left Bench in Focus. I'm Jonas Evans.
And I'm Alex Gary. With a Big Ten regular season title and a 15-1 record, third-ranked Maryland women's lacrosse has put on quite the show this year, and we're here to break it all down.
Let's start by recapping its regular season finale against number 21 Michigan. The Terps clinched the outright Big Ten regular season title championship in Ann Arbor on Saturday, taking down the Wolverines in style. Eloise Clevenger put the Terps on the board first. The sophomore attacker netted a career-high 4 goals and 2 assists to lead the offense. Maryland had the Wolverines down 7-3 at the half and continued to power through them in the third quarter, thanks to Clevenger. Hannah Lubecker and Shannon Smith, who helped the Terps to a 6-goal lead going into the fourth. Captain Grace Griffin capped it off with one more goal, securing the 13-8 victory. Emily Sterling had a day in the cage, recording 12 saves at a .600 save percentage. The goalie continued to lead the nation with a .567 average in that category. The win marked the program's 6th outright Big Ten title win in just 7 seasons in the conference. And to analyze Cathy Reese and company's dominant regular season, we're happy to bring in women's lacrosse beat writer Ben Strober, who's been covering the Terps all year at theleftbench.com.
Now, Ben, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Now, let's start with the run Maryland's been on these past couple weeks. Now, the Terps have taken down 3 other ranked opponents, including number 2 Northwestern last Saturday. What's been working for them on both ends of the field?
On both ends of the field is an interesting thing to talk about, but I want to first go into the defense because the defense has really stepped up since Tori Beretta got injured with a torn ACL. That was their defensive captain. But having a leader like Abby Bosco, who came over from Penn, in only her first 16 games, she's really been a vocal leader that's rallied the defense together. The slides are getting there. They're getting there sooner. Overall, they're just very difficult to shoot against now, especially with Emily Sterling in cage.
Yeah, and Maryland and Northwestern are the top 2 seeds in that Big Ten tournament, and Maryland obviously got the best of them just 10 days ago. But if they do match up again in that Big Ten tournament final this weekend, who do you think has the advantage there?
Well, I got to give it to Maryland with this one. We saw the kind of dominant performance they put on against Northwestern last time around, with the stakes as high as it was. Now the stakes are even higher. The Terps are going to respond how they've been the past couple of weeks since they lost to James Madison on their senior day. It was a shocking loss for them, and now they've been able to rebound, and they've been one of the hottest teams in all of the women's college lacrosse now.
Now, just beyond the Big Ten tournament, this team has national championship aspirations. What does Maryland need to do in the NCAA tournament to come home with number 16 national championship?
Well, I think they just got to get out of their own way, essentially. After the Ohio State game, they gave up 8 goals in the first half, and then they didn't give up any more in the second half. They were making a lot of mistakes. They were forcing shots on offense as well. And Cathy Reese, after the game, said we were kind of competing against ourselves out there. So I think they got to just play within themselves. They're such a deep team. They have so many people that can score at any given moment. You know, we've Cordingley, Lou Becker, Eloise Clevenger had a career high against Michigan. They have an unbelievable roster of people that can score, and the defense has been incredible. Emily Sterling is going to be one of the major parts for them as well, though. She's leading the nation in save percentage at just over 56% now, and she's been a leader of the defense. She's led the way. Cathy Reese calls her the anchor of the defense for a reason. She's been part of their success.
Well, Ben, that's all we have for you today. Thanks so much for joining us, and good luck with your coverage in the postseason.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. And be sure to keep up with all of Ben's work on Twitter and at theleftbench.com.
Well, as you know, the Big Ten tournament gets underway this Friday, and TLB's Judith Altnew is here in the studio to break down the bracket.
She'll also tell you what the Terps have to do in order to take home that tournament trophy once again. Judith?
Thanks, guys. The Big Ten Women's Lacrosse Tournament is returning to a 4-team bracket for the first time since 2019, meaning Maryland would just need 2 wins to take the title. The top-seeded Terps and 2-seed Northwestern have dominated in past years, with either team winning the past 5 conference tournaments. Those two have faced each other in 4 of the last 5 championship games. Maryland is looking for its first tournament title since 2018, but will first need to get past 4-seed Johns Hopkins in the semifinals. The Blue Jays claim that final spot this weekend after Ohio State and Michigan lost to Rutgers and Maryland respectively. They'll seek to upset Maryland and claim their first Big Ten tourney title and head coach Janine Tucker's last year before she retires from a 29-year career. This season, Maryland took down Hopkins 17-6 in early April, and the Blue Jays finished the season with a 10-7 record. On the other end of the bracket, second-seeded Northwestern will look to win its 3rd consecutive tournament title and will face 3-seeded Rutgers. Northwestern played the second toughest schedule in the country, playing the current top 4 teams in the nation and going 1-3 against them. Rutgers is coming off one of its best seasons in program history, ending the year with 14 wins for the first time since 1999. The Scarlet Knights are also looking for their first Big Ten tourney title. Just a few weeks ago, Northwestern defeated them 21-13. Championship game will be played on May 8th at noon, and if we see Maryland taking on a familiar foe in Northwestern, that will make for some great action before the NCAA tournament later this month. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Judith. Now don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we'll be joined in studio by star defender Abby Bosco to talk more about this season and her Tewaaraton Award nomination.
We'll also go over the top 3 plays we've seen from this 2022 squad so far and take a look into the best teams to have played under Cathy Reese in College Park. Stay tuned.
Freedom. It's at the core of who we are. The freedom to live without fear, to jog where we please, to wear a hoodie. The freedom to breathe. Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
Back to Left Bench in Focus, where today we're talking all things Maryland women's lacrosse.
And we're so excited to be joined by one of the team's 3 Tewaaraton Award nominees, defender Abby Bosco. Thank you so much for coming, Abby.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, and let's talk immediately about that Tewaaraton nomination. You, Emily Sterling, and Aurora Cordingley all nominated. How does it feel to be part of that group of 25?
It's so exciting, and it's such an honor. I mean, it's the biggest honor in women's lacrosse, and it's obviously like such a great individual award, but I came to Maryland because I want to win a national championship. So although those are great and definitely like such an honor and so humbled to be among those phenomenal players, it's really got my eye on one thing.
And though it seems like more, you've now played 16 games in a Maryland uniform after transferring here from Penn. Now, what's it been like adjusting to this culture here and just the overall atmosphere of College Park?
Yeah, I mean, the team has been so welcoming and truly made it so easy to fit right in. Like, from the day I got on campus, they welcomed me with open arms and just made the transition so much easier. I think that speaks a lot to the culture that Coach Cathy Reese has created here at Maryland, and just from all the girls, the alumni who played before us, who still come and cheer us on every single game. I think just the culture, it's such an easy culture to fit into and just welcomed since day one.
Yeah, and let's talk about that defense. You guys have held 13 of your 16 opponents to single-digit goals. How have you done that? What's made you guys so successful?
Yeah, it's so exciting being part of such an awesome defense this year. I think one of the things that we've put an emphasis on since day one is just playing together and playing as a unit and always having each other's backs. And I think that we experienced some bumps at the beginning of the season, but ever since we started playing together, it's been so awesome to watch it click. And then having a goalie as good as Emily Sterling behind us, it's like you just feel safe. Our job isn't to let up no shots. Like, shots are going to happen, but our job is to force those bad shots, and she's just been coming up with every single save that we need her to and more. And I would say if there's one thing that we've been focusing on, it's just playing together, and we've been doing it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and good luck in the postseason.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
And with players like Abby roaming the turf, it's no surprise that the Terps have made plenty of incredible plays this season.
That's right, Jonas. We've narrowed down what we think are the top 3 plays to this point. Jonas, start us off.
We'll start inside the Jones Hill house, where Aurora accordingly ran it all the way to the cage from midfield unassisted. With no one but the goalie standing in her way, accordingly whizzed one straight past her head. What a play from the grad transfer.
And for our number 2 play, we'll stay inside the Jones Hill house, but this time it's accordingly with the assist to Grace Griffin, who was double teamed. When Griffin got out of the jam for the goal, awesome stuff from the captain.
And our top play of the season goes to Hannah Lubecker, who does the absolute most diving to her side. Lubecker added another goal to the board against Northwestern and helped the Terps to the Big Ten regular season title. Way to go, Hannah. And if you know anything about this program, you know it's no stranger to national championships.
Yeah, Jonas, I'd say 15 national championships isn't too shabby. And this 2022 team could be on its way to another. Our Alexa Wooten is here to look back at 3 of the best teams Cathy Reese has led here in College Park.
Yeah, guys, Maryland has been dominant since the inception of women's college lacrosse, and Cathy Reese has instilled a winning culture here, and this team is no different. Starting us off is the 2014 National Championship team, led by 3-time Tewaaraton winner and 2014 National Midfielder of the Year, Taylor Cummings. The Terps were the ACC regular season and tournament champions, finishing the season 23-1 with 5 All-Americans. This roster was jam-packed with stars. The defense was led by Alice Mercer and National Defender of the Year, Megan Dowdy. The unit held its opponents to just under 8 goals per game, a league best. Leading the attack with Cummings was ACC Championship MVP Brooke Griffin. With scorers all around the 8, Maryland was a hard team to guard, and paired with Cummings' insane ability to do it all, whether she was getting to the net herself or drawing defenders and dumping to her teammates, Cummings and the Terps were untouchable in their route to a national championship. In at number 2 is the 2019 National Champions. With 7 All-Americans, this team finished 22-1. The Terps only fell to Northwestern in the Big Ten Tournament Championship, but they got their revenge in the semifinals of the NCAA tournament, crushing the Wildcats on their way to the championship game, where they defeated Boston College and got to cut the net at Homewood Field in Baltimore. On defense, this team was led by the National Player of the Year, NCAA Tournament Most Outstanding Player, and the first and only goalie to ever win the Tewaaraton, Megan Taylor. Taylor was pivotal in the national championship, notching 10 saves. With Taylor on the defense was Lizzie Colson and National Defender of the Year, Julia Bragg. This unit was a brick wall, allowing less than 7 goals per game. The midfield was led by Jen Giles, Erica Evans, and now 3-time team captain Grace Griffin. And with Caroline Steele, Brittany Griffin, and Callie Hartshorn on the attack, the Terps were a nightmare for any defensive unit. And last but not least is the squad that secured Cathy Reese's perfect season, the 2017 National Championship team. The Big Ten regular season and tournament champions, led by 2017 Tewaaraton winner Zoe Stukenberg, was the team to beat, but no one could. The midfield was led by Stukenberg and Jen Giles, who you should remember from that 2019 team. Stukenberg came from the midfield to help the attack with Caroline Warren. Around the 8 with them was Megan Whittle, Caroline Steele, and Callie Hartshorn. Maryland's attack was smart, and with the ability to find the open player for feeds, it was a force to be reckoned with. The defense was also strong, led by 2017 National Goalie of the Year, who you may also remember from that 2019 team, Megan Taylor, and then just a sophomore. Jonas, Alex, if we have the same conversation next year, I think it's a very good possibility that this 2022 team could be in the mix.
And one thing you got to keep in note about this 2022 team is the depth that they have. Anyone on this offense can score.
Yeah, but don't forget the talent they've got here too, those 3 Tewaaraton nominees that we've mentioned so many times on the show. Well, that does it for this final edition of the Left Bench in Focus this semester.
Be sure to keep up with all our coverage on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and tune into the Left Bench TV next Tuesday.
We'll see you in the fall.